There's 34 islands out in Boston Harbor that are a national park. And one of the amazing things about them is it's quite an interesting mix of natural resources and cultural resources. Well, we're standing here on Boston Harbor, and the Boston Harbor Islands, as you can imagine, are in Boston Harbor, but look behind us. Do you see any islands?
There's a certain amount of out of sight, out of mind that the harbor islands suffer from. So we have long wanted to have some place near the ferry that people could learn about the islands.
I'm Tim Love. I'm an associate professor at the School of Architecture at Northeastern, where I teach architecture courses at the undergraduate and graduate level. I'm also a principal at UTEAL, a Boston-based architecture and urban planning firm. My colleagues and I were the designers of the Boston Harbor Island Pavilion, which was commissioned by the National Park Service and the Boston Harbor Island Alliance.
The first thing they did was actually to go out on a boat and visit the islands, so that therefore their concept of what that facility should be was based on a visitor experience. They were visitors themselves. They tried to understand what would a person need in order to get engaged and excited about going out to the islands.
You have to consider the citizens of the place where you're working as your client, and in a way, it puts more responsibility on you to play the role of thinking about what's in the best public interest. Our idea was, can we revolutionize the way park rangers interact with people, the way the Apple Store changed the way salespeople interact with people that walk into that store?
Well, I think the most important thing about that pavilion is that it is visitor-centric, that it is a place where when people come, they are engaged. So they're engaged by the architecture. The maps that are there immediately draw visitors.
The idea, like the chalkboard of the trailhead in the White Mountains, that a kind of urban version of that, the park rangers can actually use a map to tell a story, was very important to us.
Multiple parts of this. The design of the roof is sort of very sculptural, very interesting, very different. So when people see that, their eye is caught and they just sort of think, gee, what's that?
Design an open-air pavilion that would allow the roof itself unencumbered by sidewalls or insulation or those other responsibilities most roofs have was really exciting for me.
Equally as exciting is the 2,000 square foot granite map of the islands.
Almost always, after they get to the second exhibit panel, they start to walk to another one and they look down. And it's like, whoa, there's the islands right there. We've been walking in the harbor right here.
We scaled this map so it felt like the same view you got of the islands taking off from Logan Airport. To have people have this kind of shock of recognition. I know that view.
And the panels that go with the maps that have photographs and text about the islands. All that contributes to a visitor saying, boy, that looks pretty interesting. Where do I get a boat?
We believe in our department that teaching design starts with a conception of the culture of the city as a cultural question, as an anthropological question. That's why this project, I think, is so closely related to what I do in the classroom.